Mechs are giant piloted machines, robots you can climb into, stuff that fights monsters, other robots, or even entire armies. They're everywhere now, in anime, movies, games, and even toys. It almost feels like they've always been a thing, but they really haven't. Mechs didn't just appear fully formed, they were built over time, piece by piece, idea by idea. And that's what I want to talk about today. Not just where mechs came from, but how they changed and how those changes influence the stories we tell, from how we think about power, technology, and even control. Every era added something new. G'day, I'm David from Rewind Retro. I love all things 90s and 2000s, cartoons, toys, and TV shows, and I'm here to bring a little slice of nostalgia back. If you love the 90s and 2000s, you're in the right place. If you really want to find the starting point, you have to go back to the early 70s with Mazinger Z. This was the first time the idea was really formed. What if the robot isn't the hero? What if the person inside is? Koji Kabuto doesn't command Mazinger Z from a base or a control room. He flies a small craft straight into the robot's head and pilots it from the inside. That one choice changed everything. Suddenly, the robot is a tool, a responsibility. Something that could be used for good or completely spiral out of control. That idea, human inside machine, is the foundation of the entire mech genre. Every show after this is reacting to the concept in some way or another. And then after Mazinger Z, the genre begins to explode. The late 70s and early 80s are full of giant robots with interesting designs and over-the-top weapons. These are the classic super robots. They're not realistic and they're not trying to be. They're power fantasies. They're bold, colourful, and made to look cool. And that works, especially for younger audiences. But as those audiences grow up, the genre had to grow with them. That's where Gundam comes in. Gundam takes the basic idea, pilot inside a machine, and strips away the fantasy. These aren't superhero robots. They're military hardware. They're mass-produced, they break down, and they get replaced. And the pilots? They're not chosen heroes, they're soldiers, sometimes kids, often traumatized, thrown into conflicts they barely understand. Gundam reframes mechs as a consequence of war, not a solution to it. It forces the audience to think about what it actually means to give someone that power. And that shift from fantasy to realism changes the genre permanently. Then for a lot of people outside Japan, mech arrived in a very different way. We get Power Rangers. For many kids in the 90s, this is the first exposure to giant robots. You don't call them mechs at the time, they're Zords. But the idea is the same. Each Ranger has their own machine. Then those machines combine into something bigger. That combination matters. It teaches a simple but powerful idea. You can't control this alone. Power Rangers makes teamwork part of the mech fantasy. The Megazord doesn't exist unless everyone shows up. It's one of the most recognizable mech images in pop culture for a reason. Around the same time, you get Zoids, which takes the genre in a completely different direction. Instead of humanoid robots, these are mechanical animals. They move differently, they fight differently, they feel less like vehicles and more like living things. The pilot isn't just operating a machine, they're partnering with it. Studies show that mechs don't have to look human to feel powerful. It expands what the genre can look like and opens the door to more experimental designs. Then comes Evangelion, and everything gets really uncomfortable. The Avas aren't really machines. They're living beings restrained by armor, controlled through direct mental connection. Piloting one isn't empowering, it's damaging. The show isn't interested in how cool the robot looks. It's interested in what piloting does to you. Evangelion takes the human-machine connection and pushes it to the breaking point. It turns the mech into a reflection of trauma, fear, and even identity. After this, the genre can't be about spectacle anymore. Fast forward, and eventually, Hollywood takes another serious shot at the genre with Pacific Rim. What makes Pacific Rim work isn't just the scale, it's the weight. These mechs feel heavy, slow, difficult to move. Every action feels like effort. And then again, you need more than one pilot. The machine demands cooperation, shared memory, and even trust. Pacific Rim feels like the culmination of decades of mech ideas filtered through modern filmmaking. Then you get Attack on Titan, which doesn't even use metal, but structurally it is mech storytelling. Humans control larger humanoid forms. There are transformation triggers, limited time windows, physical and psychological consequences. Military strategy built around who can pilot what. Attack on Titan proves something important. Mechs aren't about robots, they're about scale and control. The idea of humans stepping into something bigger than themselves, and dealing with what the power does to them and the world around them. When you look at the genre this way, the evolution actually makes sense. Mechs start as pure fantasy, then they become tools of war, then symbols of teamwork, then reflection of trauma, and expressions of technology, fear, and responsibility. They changed because we changed, and that's why the genre keeps coming back in different forms across different generations. Because as long as we keep asking what we do with that kind of power, someone's going to keep building a story around a cockpit.